Hello and welcome to another episode of Telling Everybody Everything. This week has been an eventful one in the Ryan Kuster household. Let me look back at my diary and see what we have achieved. Like, can we ever just chill? Oh, yes. Last week, and it would have just aired this past Sunday, I was invited back on Mock the Week, which has been revived and is longer, stronger, and better than ever. It's on TLC Sunday nights at 9. How can I watch TLC? I can't hold your hand and walk you through that because in Canada, and I think in America, from what I've experienced traveling, everything is just really simple. It's like, what channel is it on? And we'd be like, channel 3, and that was it. But here, you have different light bulbs for everything. We only really have one light bulb in Canada. Does that need a light bulb? Look, go out and buy light bulb. You know, it's simple. And here you need to know all these different things. Batteries, the same thing. I bought Fred a spider from Tesco's because he's so cute. Fred is entering such a cute generation of life. He still has a temper though and is a little boy and therefore annoys me, and we have very dissimilar interests. But he wanted to scare Violet with this spider, and he was so cute in the shop, choosing the spider. And I thought to myself, I bet this thing has a battery because it crawls. I'm sure the battery is not included. And then when we got to the till, the batteries are very near to the tills, and lots of people are walking by. It's really dangerous to have a buggy and a baby and Fred. And I couldn't work out what was a 1.5 volt battery. And I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. And I just bought all the batteries. I bought AAA batteries, AA batteries. I bought some C batteries because I thought, well, this is wrong, but we probably need some. And then there are little batteries that look like coins and some that look even smaller than coins that I remember bad kids in our school sticking in their noses and ears. And I was just like, I think it must be this because the spider's small. I don't know what's going on. I'm panicked. I just buy every battery. Every battery. I bought so many batteries. In Canada, I don't even think we have that. I think we just have battery, one battery, one light bulb, one channel when you want to watch shit. So I got home with the spider and all these batteries, and Bobby was like, okay. He is really starting to embrace the hypotheses that I might be at least a little bit neurodiverse. So I got, by the way, none of the batteries that I got was right, but Bobby had a backup stash, and Fred was able to successfully scare Sissy with the spider. So Mock the Week is on TLC. I watch TLC through Discovery. I really recommend Discovery. It is one of these platforms for streaming. It's got so much reality TV. And I couldn't even go through the shows on Discovery. I mostly use it for 90 Day Fiancé. But I think they're positioning themselves really interestingly at TLC as a comedy channel. And to come out the gate with Mock the Week is just so smart because you know what Mock the Week is. You get it. Oh, TLC's for comedy now. Super. And they're developing a lot of really exciting new shows on there. I'm going to be a guest on another one that is brand new that I know everyone's going to like. So if you don't have TLC on your whatever Skybox terrestrial, don't know what's going on in the UK with all that, if you cannot access TLC, get Discovery. It's a monthly subscription and you can watch TLC through that, and you will, if you like me, you will fucking love everything on Discovery. So it was really fun. I wonder if I was prepared enough. I'm going to go on it again, but it's been a long time since I've had to write jokes about the political landscape and the news. And this was it was really scary. There was a time backstage where I wanted to run away because I was like, oh my gosh, Glenn Moore is so great at this. Sarah Pascoe, Sarah Keyworth, Hugh Dennis was back on the show, which he just couldn't be a better performer and a nicer man. And of course, Reese James is the team captain. Dara's so smart. And I like balancing work and motherhood, but and I know it's not feminist to say, but biologically, I just feel so much dumber right now on broken sleep, breastfeeding, having just had a baby, but I don't have an option. I couldn't just not work for a year because number one, I think people would forget about me, but number two, the tax bills, the mortgage, I have a very expensive family, and Violet hasn't even started driving yet. So, and I love my job. I don't go on Mock the Week to, pay a tax bill. Certainly not that one. But I love it. And it was really fun to be back with my comedy pals. And I just hope that I did the show justice. And I definitely took it as a kick up the bum to do better next time. So that was really fun. That was Mock the Week. And then on Wednesday, I don't know if you guys saw this already on my socials, God love Emily Atack. Like, I understand why she is successful on so many levels and will always be just a treasure in her industry. She is such a brilliant actress. And I think part of what maybe makes her such a great actress is she's so accessible as a person. She's so good at being vulnerable, and she's emotional, and she has all these friends, and she's fun, and she travels, and she drinks wine, and she's just so much fun to be around all the time. And it's so interesting that I got an email from her people. I think that a celebrity chef dropped out because there was an event that I was invited to. Later in the week, I saw this celebrity chef commented on someone's socials like, oh, sorry, I couldn't be there. I was sick. And I was like, I knew I got a last minute invitation. But Bobby and I were talking about our lack of autonomy and how we never do anything. And I was like, do you know, we've got some friends in the neighborhood. Emily Atack lives not far. We like her husband. She's got a small boy. Laura Whitmore and Ian Sterling, they live nearby. Like, we could try to get out there again and have some friends, because famously on this podcast, you'll know Bobby doesn't have any friends. And I don't really have any friends either, but I don't care. I'm not as social as Bobby is, and I get to see people when I go to work, like on Mock the Week. So I said, yeah, we should try to do something with Emily Atack. And I know you love her, because both of them nip out for like cheeky cigarettes. I'm not actually sure if Emily smokes anymore, but like back in the day at awards shows, she would go and smoke with Bobby. And I'm one of very few wives who will encourage their husband to go spend time with someone as beautiful and charming as Emily Atack. But there we are. And he loves Emily, and she's a good time. And so we had that conversation, and I went to work that day. We're back filming season 3 of my other podcast, What's My Age Again? You can listen to series 1 and 2 wherever you get your podcasts, and look out for some incredible guests on series 3. So I went there and I got an email, and it was from Emily's people going, as you know, Emily Atack is the new face of Agent Provocateur, which is a beautiful lingerie brand. And they have apparel. They have outerwear as well, depending on where you're going. And she's the new face, and we want to celebrate this launch with a dinner in 2 nights. Can you be there? And I said, can Bobby come? And they said, of course, Bobby can come. And I was like, yeah, I'll be there. Like, how serendipitous that we were just talking about how we'd like to hook up with Emily. And like, here she's having this event, and it's a dinner. It's going to be so much fun. And I looked through the photos of Emily's Agent Provocateur campaign. Already I'm a fan of the brand, but Emily's just the perfect person to represent them. She really is, because she had her experiences back in the day in those lads mags where her sexuality was certainly... it wasn't her own agency. It wasn't empowering in the way that a woman's sexuality is in her late 30s. You know, like, she was young. She was very much positioned from the in-betweeners, like in a schoolgirl outfit. You know, it felt like those photos, probably for her, were something that she did and she probably enjoyed, but it was very much for the male gaze, where Agent Provocateur is for women. It's like a high-end luxury brand that men might purchase, but women definitely choose. Do you know what I mean? It's about feeling good in your own skin, under your own clothes. It's luxury. It's like really beautifully made for women. It's like women like it, and women in a certain income bracket like it. So presumably you would be a bit older. You would have an established career. And Emily has had a baby, and she's got just all this confidence. I just thought the images were perfect. Perfect. And they said, for the dinner, we will send you something from Agent Provocateur to wear. And they sent me a lookbook. In fairness, there were some more like coverage pieces in the lookbook. There were a few corsets and a few dresses. But I thought, like, I just assumed, because this was mostly a girls' dinner and it was to celebrate the lingerie campaign, I really believed, having been an attendee at the Playboy Mansion before, that this was the dress code, that everyone was going to turn up wearing lingerie. And the photos of Emily, she's in the lingerie. So I was at work, I was busy, I was excited to be going out, and I thought, okay, well, let me choose some of the lingerie, but that's a little bit more covered up. Because I'm still a bit fat. I'm 10 pounds more than I should be. How much is that? Like just under a stone. I'm probably a stone after this weekend, but I'm like a stone heavier than I should be. Let's say that. My boobs change size all night because I'm breastfeeding. So like you pump the milk or you feed the baby and then you go out maybe like a D, but if you don't bring your pumps with you, you come home like a triple H. So I had to be mindful about the lingerie. I chose several bodysuits to try on, and they are so beautiful. Different levels of coverage. In some of these bodysuits, your nips are out, and in some of the bodysuits, it's full opaque, not lace. Your midriff is covered. Like I chose a few of those. And then over top, there was this beautiful lace capelet that had sleeves and a little skirt. And I thought that'll be fine. I'll put some hold ups with it, or I'll put like black tights. I don't know. Like this is lingerie, but it's like outerwear lingerie. I'll wear a rain trench coat. It'll be fine. So these beautiful pieces arrived on a bike and I tried them all on. And before I went out, Violet was like, no. Violet said, you cannot go out like that. I said, Violet, you don't understand. It's a lingerie thing. Everyone's going to be dressed this way. I am 42 years old. Dressing like this is more appropriate for me, a married adult, than it is for you and your girlfriends, straight out the Epstein files. So like, you don't get to have an opinion about me wearing this. And she's like, if you wear this, it will be so embarrassing. But I wore it anyway. And I walked into the dinner and I was early. I like to arrive on time and leave on time with a small baby. So not all of the guests had arrived yet. Emily wasn't even there herself because I think she was down the road at a Jean Provocateur where there's this beautiful image of her in the window. She was doing the actual launch. So I arrive and the first person I see is Laura Whitmore. Laura Whitmore, like a beautiful giraffe, legs up to her neck, just stunning always. Stunning always. She makes everything look good. She had her big, tall shoes on, long legs in black tights, and then like a little skirt. And I think her Jean Provocateur piece was like a bra that was sort of peeking out. And I think also the blazer was AP. I'm sure it was. And she looked like she could go anywhere in this thing. Yes, there was a lot of cleavage, but you could go anywhere with a lot of cleavage. You wouldn't see her and be like, oh, that woman's in her pants. She looked stunning. She makes everything look stunning, but she made a stunning piece look even more stunning. Great. And then I see some other women who are wearing like little bits of a Jean Provocateur with clothes, And without Jen by my side, I don't know how to style like little bits of something with clothes. So I was just in the lingerie. I did have tights on. I did have the coat, but I left it at the door. And it was like that scene in Bridget Jones where she's out in the snow in her pants. Like everyone else looked dinner appropriate with a nod to the collection. And not me, though. Not me. I was in my pants and it really felt like a nightmare. Like I'd woken in a sweaty nightmare where I thought I was invited to a lingerie event. And I was the only one in lingerie. And it was pretty much all women. There was like an owner of a Jean Provocateur, this really cool guy called Ben. He's like a boss. Emily's husband arrived eventually. Bobby was there. And there were kind of no other men. And Bobby was like, why did you invite me to this girls' pajama party? And I was like, listen, you wanted to see Emily attack. I want to see Emily attack. Here we are. At least your ass isn't out. But everyone, because it was so many women and so many like really accomplished, empowered women, and because I was making an effort for the brand, like I suppose technically I fulfilled the brief, and I also filled the brief with my fat ass. Everyone was really supportive, and I was made to feel very comfortable. And I drank some champagne, and I sat down, and it was all right. But I didn't realize, I should have chosen one of the more covered up outfits. You can see all the images from the event if you want, or go and look at Emily's Jean Provocateur line on her socials or on their website. It's called The Duchess. It really is a beautiful collection. If you go on the Instagram, on the Agent Provocateur Instagram from the night, or indeed on Getty Images, you will see that I am the most underdressed person there and the newest mom. So like, what was I thinking? But it was really fun. I think we should dive into the emails next since we did none last week. And at the top of my inbox, looky, Katherine, he had an affair for 3 years, but should I stay? My instant reaction is obviously no, but let's find out more. Katherine, I recently found out that my husband of a decade and the father of my child has been having an affair for 3 years. He has always lied, but I kept telling myself he wouldn't cross that line. If not for me, then for our child. I was wrong. Despite being busy with his new friend, he still managed to spend the last 3 years with me trying for a baby that I thought we both desperately wanted. And we were beginning to pursue IVF due to unexplained secondary infertility. What is wrong with these men? How could you do that to someone? There is a very famous case right now. Actually, let me see. I think Andrew sent me information on this. It's like a super rich guy. Okay, hi. It's like a whole 24 hours later because I had to go into the city to go to the doctor. I had to bring Holland. I had to bring the kids out. Yesterday got away from me. But today I've come back to this and I've tried to find the reference. And what is so maddening to me, because people are always like, Katherine, you have such toxic ideas about men. I try every day to turn over a new leaf. Like, it's just best for my mental health. So I look online to find this famous case and I can't, because it has happened so often. I'm like swimming in different cases of what is called paternity by deception. So my Gemini thinks that I'm talking about Greg Lindbergh case, which has been described in recent headlines as a billionaire's baby project. In late 2024 and 2025, an investigation by Bloomberg Businessweek and subsequent lawsuits brought to light a scheme where Lindbergh, a North Carolina insurance tycoon, allegedly used deception to build a network of secret families. Several women have come forward, but the most prominent involves a woman referred to as Anya in media reports. She is suing him, pay attention to this bit for you, she's suing him for fraud and emotional distress. Now in the UK, we don't sue people as much as they do in America, but this could still be relevant. The deception. Anya alleges that Lindbergh courted her, claiming he wanted to build a standard family with her and even proposed marriage. In reality, she discovered he was doing the exact same thing with multiple other women at the same time, treating the pregnancies like a cold production line. While Anya thought she was his primary partner, Lindbergh allegedly had dozens of other women, egg donors, and surrogates involved in what he called his baby project. He aimed to father as many children as possible to create a biological legacy, often using legal contracts to strip the mothers of their rights. The lawsuit claims, quote, pregnancy by deception. And I think this is going to become a thing in court of law. So pregnancy by deception right now is a colloquial term that can refer to several different phenomena, primarily encompassing reproductive coercion, psychological conditions like pseudocyesis, false pregnancy, or delusion of pregnancy, and the rare medical condition of cryptic pregnancy. Oh, how interesting that Google puts this on women, like the women who fake pregnancies, the women who deceive people. But as language around these legalities evolve, I think women are going to be taking men to court for pregnancy by deception as well. And I think we, as a gender, are far more entitled to compensation because we sacrifice so much more. We sacrifice our bodies, we invest so much more, and we're the ones left holding the baby, so to speak, which is what you want, which is what I would want. But it's fucked up. There is this kind of pregnancy by coercion as well, or by deception. So reproductive coercion is a serious form of intimate partner violence where one person interferes with the autonomous reproductive decision-making of another. This includes birth control sabotage, lying about fertility or contraception, pressure and threats, or forced fatherhood. This is all centered around men. Wait until this switches up. Yeah, so it's bad to do these things to men, but but what about when they do it to us? What about when a man has told you that you have like a standard family? He's like even gone through the process of IVF with you, or like moving towards that space. You've been trying to have a baby and he had a whole secret family. I think you could be a groundbreaking person in the UK. I think that you could take this man to court, and maybe you don't want to have this level of media attention on you that I think it would get, but really think about how this man has hijacked your life. I think all of us could take our baby fathers to court for exactly this. Pregnancy by deception. He said it'd be 50-50. Okay. I'm worried that leaving is the wrong decision for two reasons. My first worry is that moving my son would be unfair and selfish. He's not that confident. I'm scared it will be traumatic to start all again. The school in the new neighborhood is a much better fit, but it will still be a big transition for a sensitive child, and I don't want to add to his trauma. I've also raised him almost single-handedly, and he is incredibly reliant on me, particularly overnight. And I'm scared that if I try to change his school, his dad will be spiteful and ask for more custody than he's told me he actually wants, which would devastate my son. Now, this is a really real concern for a lot of people, both moms and moms, dads and dads, dads and moms, who are thinking about leaving a toxic relationship. Is you go, well, right now I get access to my child all the time. And sharing is one thing, but being made to share out of spite when you know the other parent is not as hands-on, like the feeling of that, like being up, worrying at night for your child, I would say, like, looking back, this was definitely my primary concern, of course, when I left my daughter's father. And I wish, really, it's all turned out fine now, but I really wish that I had stood up for her and stood up for myself more than followed the guidelines, like to be nice, like to avoid animosity, like to be fair, especially at a young age. And she has told me things since about like what would go on over there that like I wish that I had put my foot down and been like, this is my child, you can see her whenever, but if you would like to be taking her every other weekend without me, then come and like make me give that to you. Because truthfully, I don't know that he would have, and I don't know that a lot of men would have. You don't want to antagonize anyone. And you do, of course, want your child's father in their life, but especially at a young age, especially if you think he would only do it out of spite. Like right now, he has nothing to fight you about. He's moved on with another partner. You haven't, from what you've told me. Like, you could just be quiet and innocent and like slowly move away to this new neighborhood and leave the door open, but wait to see what he comes to ask for before you imagine this fight that might never happen. You go on to say, secondly, I'm terrified that if I leave, I will never have another child. As someone with a sibling, I'm desperate for my child to have one too. I'm also 35, and thanks to my delightful husband, I'll have to start from scratch with my work because I gave up my career so he could get to the top of his. That is a tale as old as time. It was a joint decision, but it was based on lies. Exactly. I'm now working for a charity and earning minimum wage, so continuing IVF alone is not an option. After 3 years of crying over pregnancy tests, I worry leaving might mean throwing away my final chance to have a child that I'm supposed to have. Look, rewatch The Duchess on Netflix. You could split up with this guy, which you definitely need to do because he is a liar and he hijacked your life and you are a victim of coercive control. You had your son under false pretenses. And you are a victim of pregnancy by deception, and you were nearly a victim of pregnancy by deception twice. So let's start there. You gave up your career so that he could further his. Let's continue there. I believe that, I know you don't have a lot of like financial means to do this, but if you I don't want to encourage you to like open yourself up to fucking a fight, which it would be. But if you're that kind of person, I could share like a crowdfunding thing for you to like pursue compensation for what you were tricked into giving this man. And that's years of your life and your career, by the way. So no, you're not going to have another baby with him. But there is a situation where maybe once you extricate yourself, you could broker a deal for like an embryo. I don't know. I get where you're coming from. But this has got me like legally fired up. Please send me an email telling everybody everything at gmail.com if you have been victim of pregnancy by deception. And all the legal language that I found for this is like when women fake a pregnancy. Yes, that's bad. But what about how many women throughout history have been fucking defrauded into giving away their bodies, their careers, their time, their life by a man who said that you were the only one and you were going to have a happy family and he would look after you and he wasn't going to be abusive and he wasn't going to drink and he wasn't going to gamble away the family money. Like, this is what it is. I think in America, they're ahead of us. These women are starting to get compensation. Some of you may remember a few episodes back, I tried to make an appointment for a smear test at my local GP. That went badly because the receptionist was like, oh, well, you just had a baby, so we can't book it in. And I was like, okay, well, can we book it in for when I'm allowed to book it in? And she was like, no, which I didn't understand why, because I was worried that I might forget then to book it in. Like, if I'm ringing you, please, let's just put it in the diary. I don't understand why not. I have had worrying HPV in the past. There are strains that are not causing cervical cancer and there are strains that do, and I had those bad strains, and that was very scary for me. I didn't have to have them lasered off or anything. Like, sometimes the abnormal cells will just resolve, or I forget what happened. Like, they definitely took a closer look and they took, was it a colposcopy, like a sample? This was years ago, around the time I got married, funnily enough. Not naming any names, but then my body, like, I don't know, dealt with it, and I no longer test positive for HPV when I have smears, but I have to have smears, obviously, every 3 years. So I've had so many babies, you can't have smears when you're pregnant, or apparently when you've just had a baby. So I finally went in the other day, and that was completed. I do not have the results of it yet. I did that on the NHS, so I'm sure the results will be told to me in like 2 years or mixed up and lost forever, but I look forward to that time. And after that, I mean, I had such a lovely Valentines. It was just for Valentine's weekend, wasn't it? Bobby and I didn't do anything because, like, why? I know a lot of people who don't do anything on actual Valentine's because it's a nightmare to get a reservation anywhere and you got to get childcare, and it's just, you know, I have the same feelings about New Year's Eve. So Bobby and I did nothing. Though I think he forgot, because on the Friday, he's like, what time do we have the babysitter tomorrow? And I was like, we do not, because it's Saturday, and like, you haven't booked the babysitter tomorrow as far as I'm aware. And I haven't booked the babysitter tomorrow because, you know, it's Saturday. So I think he planned on maybe taking me somewhere, but it was fine that he didn't, because I don't care. And we had just recently been to Emily Atack's big launch in my underpants. So that was perfect. Though, like a month and a half ago, I booked a dinner with my friends because as part of my 2026 glow up, it's not all surgery and hair extensions. I was like, I need to make some time for my girlfriends, make some time for Violet to spend time with my girlfriends, because she used to be one of us. Like, she would hang around with Emily Dean and Roisin and Sarah Pascoe and Aisling. Like, these were Violet's friends too. And a lot of us moved on and done different things and have kids now, and that means we just don't see each other. Also, everyone's like really successful now. That's another reason we don't see each other. So literally Christmas time, I was like, can we put a dinner in the diary? And we weren't even thinking about Galentine's, but it just happened to fall on February 13th that 7 of us were free. And I looked around for different restaurants that would have beautiful lighting, because that is a huge priority at my age, and like lovely cocktails and a good atmosphere and nice things to eat. And I found a place in Notting Hill, which I thought was closer to me than it actually is, but it's quite west. Notting Hill, called Los Mochis. And get this, it is beautiful lighting, really intimate, small restaurant, Japanese and Mexican food, like the two greatest cuisines of all time. It's like mini tacos and ceviche and sushi and maki rolls and guacamole dip and amazing spicy margaritas. It was just like the best place ever. And I was thinking to myself, you know, because I love my kids, but every once in a while, my mind wanders down the fork in the road of like, just have Violet and live your life and like get married and have a big family in zone fucking 5. And I thought, oh my gosh, if it were just Violet and me, like I could live in Notting Hill. This could be my local. I could be drinking a tall, crisp, there's no tall Sauvignon, but like I could be drinking it at Los Mochis like every fucking day. Every day. I could be like the Joanne McNally of Notting Hill. So, I mean, once again, for those of you who are desperate to have a family and it's not going your way, I know what that feeling is like through my miscarriage period. But like, just know that there is joy for you if it stays that way. There's Los Mochis and spicy margaritas for you. Oh, and fulfillment and friends. And so we had like such a nice time. But because we were a group of 7 ladies dining, it was really important to me that I get one bill and pay for it myself. Because having been in the service industry, people hate to see 7 ladies coming. They hate it. And they think to themselves, how many ways am I going to have to like divide up a guacamole starter between these bitches? Like, how many bills am I going to have to print? Like, what a nightmare is this going to be? So I said, as soon as we sat down, she's like, would you like more water? I said, we would always like more water. You can keep the still and sparkling water coming. We're going to have cocktails before our friends arrive because I'm not waiting for them. You can bring out some guacamole and some starters. It'll be all on one bill and you can give it to me at the end. And the lady was like, got it. Bet. And after the 2 hours, because we did take up the full 2 hours, and I never do that. You know, most reservations are like, you can have the table for exactly 2 hours. I usually have my kids. I'm like, we will be 47 minutes and be moving on. But we took up the whole 2 hours. And then because it was the evening, it was a Friday night right before Valentine's, they made us leave. The security man was like, we're going to need this table. I was like, aw, because we had already paid. I had tipped really well, but like fair's fair. They originally in the diary, they had 7 ladies booked, probably with a big red X warning sign. And we were taking up like quite a sizable amount of the restaurant. But they could not have been more than lovely. Service was amazing. Dinner was amazing. Cocktails were amazing. Do you know what I had? I started with a Paloma. Yes, I did. Tequila and grapefruit with a little bit of soda in it. And then Jen Mahalski-Bray, my stylist, and I, and a little bit Elizabeth, though she barely drinks, we split a nice bottle of white wine. And then I had chicken tacos, and I had some type of like, I think tuna tataki starter, I forget. And then I had an espresso martini. And then with the espresso martini, controversially, I had a scoop of strawberry ice cream. Like, I really went for it. I cannot stop eating these days. Let's see what Andrew's got in the talking points this week. Oh no, Andrew, I'm being trolled now. A very Perry Trudeau Valentine's Day. Lovebirds Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau have been rubbing their beaks together nonstop recently, with Katy taking to her Instagram with a carousel dump of some of their lovelier, dovier moments. In one picture, the couple is at the top of a mountain in full ski gear. In another, they look cozy and smiley in front of a steaming hot pot. Those photos are cute, but hidden all the way at slide number 20 is a photo of what appears to be Katy Perry's hand holding a piece of paper bearing the letterhead Office of the Prime Minister, both in English and French, with the official logo for Canada at the bottom. In between all of that are what appears to be scrawled out instructions for how to successfully complete a Rubik's Cube in only 7 steps. Thankfully, the instructions are titled Cube, just in the likely case Perry forgot what she was looking at. Trudeau has given Perry the most basic Rubik's Cube instructions. Any how to solve a Rubik's Cube page on the internet will give the same tips, but he took the time to write them all out and even included a hand-drawn diagram of the cube itself to show her how to properly flip it. I mean, I have had some pushback from people online who are like, why do you hate these two? Like, a lot of Canadians especially are like, oh, like you're becoming more right wing. Do you hate Trudeau now because of Bobby? Like, no, I hate him because of the jeans on a yacht, exclusively because of that, but also because of this relationship. Like, nobody knows what goes on inside a marriage. I've said this before, but I am on the side of Justin Trudeau's lovely wife and children. I think if you are a prime minister, and I know that world leaders are some of the most like psychotic, warmongering narcissists in the world. Not saying Justin Trudeau is that, but like a lot of them are, and they philander. Like since the beginning of time, presidents have been cheating on their wives. But I think if your job is to be a peaceful communicator, which one would think the Prime Minister of Canada is like completely supposed to be able to do, that is totally in his job description, then why can't you communicate with your own wife? Why are we trusting you to communicate with world leaders and like navigate everything that's been going on before, he's not the prime minister anymore, but obviously he was. If you can't navigate your own marriage with the mother of your children and you want to talk about family values and understanding and blah, 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 and you're split up from the mother of your children, I think it must be your fault. I'm sorry. Maybe she's like a secret psycho, but I blame him. And if I'm Sophie, because every like divorced wife, and probably she doesn't give a shit. Like I wouldn't give a shit. Honestly, like if somebody walks out of your life, let them go. And maybe it was her idea to end the marriage. And at the end of the marriage, it's painful, I think, for both parties for a year, no matter what happened. But after that, you're like, live and let live. But if I'm watching my ex-husband and the father of my children just constantly make a cheese ball of himself online, and he starts dating a high-profile pop star, I mean, I just can't imagine. She and her girlfriends must be like howling over these posts. And why do you still get to use the letterhead, by the way? And if you still get to use the letterhead, why are you using it to write out instructions that you found online of how to complete a Rubik's Cube? Like, Katy Perry, she worries me. She worries me. And like, I feel bad saying it, but when she started her career, she had no idea who she was. And I think people like that, well, I mean, look, I will give her some grace because she was a young woman in the music industry, which is like a disgusting industry. But she had no idea who she was. A lot of us in entertainment are finding our feet at the beginning of our careers. I had a totally different voice in comedy when I started. But I didn't go from like, I think I'm Avril Lavigne to I think I'm Britney Spears to I think I'm Lisa Loeb. Now I think I'm like an ice cream sandwich and oh, that's the thing that works. And I'm going to like appeal to the gay community for a bit, but not authentically. And then I'm going to try it again. Like she's just revealed herself so many times as being, I think, quite insecure. And then she hitches her wagon to these men. Like I remember when she got with Russell Brand and those online posts where she was like, I'm in Thailand being schooled on Chaucer or whatever the fuck was going on. And this just feels very similar to that. Like my former prime minister boyfriend is teaching me how to do a Rubik's Cube. Like, look at me, I'm so twee. I don't know why it bugs me. Why do they bug me? Andrew, why have you sent me this? All right. Something else very quickly before we go. Last week, I revealed that I traveled to Original York for facial plastic surgery at the Coppergate Clinic. And I'm someone who is very transparent about everything that I do. I don't think a facelift is for everyone, but equally, I would never want to gatekeep something like that and have people thinking that they can just use one product and lift their neck. I have learned products are great and they do have a lot of impact on skin quality, but if you want to fix laxity especially in your neck. There just really is nothing like a facelift. So that's why I told everyone, of course, cue like the stupid questions. People on my socials who are too lazy to listen to the podcast, people who are like, show us intimate before and after photos. I'm not going to do that. Like, I've been on television in this country for well over a decade. Like, you can see what I looked like before, and you can see what I looked like during my pregnancy, and you can see what I look like now. I'm not going to give you like medical photos, though I absolutely send them to all of my friends. Even like sort of acquaintances I'll send them to. I do send them out. I love them. But I'm not going to post them online. And the reason for that is they'll just be like picked up by the Daily Mail and the Sun, and then that photo's everywhere, and that's not what I want necessarily. A lot of dumb questions, but also I'm learning that men more and more and more really are starting to spend money on what they look like and care about what they look like more than ever. So Andrew has sent us a little story on looks maxing to the max. So what does this phrase mean to you? I used to mew and starve max, but ever since I started bone smashing and hard maxing, I've gone sigma alpha and could mog any giga chad. So if you have no idea what I just said, congratulations, you are not terminally online. But for the rest of us on this week's Telling Everybody Everything, we're taking a deep delve into a sector of the manosphere called looks maxing, and a recent profile of its current poster boy named Clavicular. And he looks, I don't know his background. I'm looking at him, he kind of looks just like every 25-year-old boy to me. Though he's got big arms, and he's got like that curly sort of floppy hair, nice big lips, nice brows, good jawline, but just he looks like every boy to me. And it's not lost on me that he's got his hand on his chin like thinking, but it's just showing his watch. But I don't know about watches. I've never been a gold digger, though like I would love to retrain as one. There are some women who can spot like a really fancy watch. I'm not one of those women, obviously. Okay, first off, what is looks maxing? It is an online culture spreading like wildfire with young men, including, watch out moms, your preteen boys, in which toxic masculinity has gone so far it is practically toxic femininity. The term suffix, maxing, comes from where else? Video games, in which to the max means to fully develop a single character trait, like strength or wisdom, and has its roots in incel message boards, which attribute romantic success to genetic advantages held by tall, muscular, and especially square-jawed men. Rawr. In its mildest form, it's adopting a skincare, hairstyling, diet, or fitness regime. But at its most extreme, it can include plastic surgery, steroid, or considerably harder substances. Much like the Sephora Kids trend that sees tween and teen girls spending a fortune on cult skincare brands like Drunk Elephant and Bubble, both of which they do not need. Check out Preppy, my brand with my friend. Go to preppyskin.co.uk for details. Boys are increasingly stepping up their skincare and hair and fragrance game. In the UK, get ready for this, those aged between 10 and 18 now spend £709 million on toiletries and cosmetics annually. Like much else in the teen world, social media platforms like TikTok and Snapchat are driving this boom. The desired aesthetic for boys is a chiseled jawline, clear skin, perfect teeth, and very little body fat. Height is also valued. The message many boys are getting from looks maxers and social media in general is that unless you look a certain way, you have no value as a young man, and you won't get anyone to go out with you. The early years are a vulnerable, awkward, and transitional phase for boys, and advocates for young men to say these influencers play right into those insecurities, arguing that while there has long been an awareness about the pressure faced by women and girls to look a certain way, attention is rarely given to boys under the same pressure. On behalf of literally all women and gay men since the dawn of print media, welcome to the club, straights. I think this has been a long time coming. Like, I definitely have recognized boys since the time I was a teenager caring about what they looked like, but they would achieve this by being athletic. Like, we just didn't have the same access to products, and we didn't have social media driving this demand. But like, boys cared. Certainly not to the extent that young women or the gay men were forced to care and held to the same standard. And you see all kinds of straight men my age now who just look like absolute dog shit, and they don't mind, and they're happy, and they have terms coined for them that make aging okay and make gaining weight fine, like dad bod and silver fox. Like, it's all quite positive for them. And I think we even accept wrinkles and signs of like weathering on older straight men as being attractive. Like, I am brainwashed by like positive messaging to be like, I like a dad bod more than I like, you know how Bobby looks without a shirt on? I love Bobby, and I can acknowledge that he looks great, but that's not important to me. And then I put it on socials like for the gay following, and they're like, whoa, Bobby, da 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 da. If he had a dad bod, I would fancy him just the same. And when I see that he has wrinkles and gray hair that he didn't have, obviously, when we started dating as teenagers, I fancy him much more now. I think, obviously, I'm not a pedo, but like that is the aesthetic that I like. I think if Bobby started doing all this looks maxing, oh my gosh, because I do know men who get filler. That like chiseled jawline, by the way, is quite easy to get. Filler is one way, but you could just quite easily get a jaw implant and like screw it in, and it would last forever. And then you get some lipo, like some chin lipo. I think the Gaston jaw is very achievable for men with surgery. But I digress. If he went down that route, which he wouldn't, like that is not Bobby, I would support him for sure. Like he has supported me, but you know, I don't know how I would feel about it. I think what these boys are doing now that makes it stand out is they're nerding it up. They're getting all this terminology and they're making it sound like a lot dumber than it has to sound. You could say like, well, I actually care about what I look like now, and I want this jawline, I want to work out a lot, and I like to lose weight. But instead, like, here is a handy dandy glossary of looks maxer. Like, you don't have to give it that name. Terminology, in case any of you wanted to go one circle of hell lower than the one we're already in. Soft maxing. That's trying to improve one's looks by eating better, exercising, perfecting a skincare regimen. Essentially anything short of taking steroids or going under the knife. Hard maxing. Everything long of taking steroids and going under the knife. Leg lengthening, which is so cool. There's a lot of height insecurity amongst men, and they have a surgery now that will probably disable you, where you like cut your femur. Is that your femur or like your tibia, fibula? It's been a long time since I've learned kinesiology, but like your calves, basically, they cut those bones and they stick a metal rod in, and then they like twist it, and you can get inches taller, but you'll probably be disabled, and you will definitely be disabled for at least 1 year. Starve maxing. That is sad. Pretty self-explanatory. Mogging. That is literally standing next to someone and looking better than them. Mogging. Mogging is cold. Mewing. Placing the tongue on the roof of the mouth, which looks maxers believe makes the jaw grow squarer and stronger. That's interesting. I know so many women who, for paparazzi photos, like suck in their cheeks. They go, which would look weird if you were talking to someone like that, but apparently it looks good in a photo. Canthal tilt. A preferable angle of the eye, which committed looks maxers are going under the knife to achieve. Is that like fox eye? Facial gains, the same parlance as muscle gains in the gym. This applies to facial gains obtained by extreme skincare and facial exercises like mewing and bone smashing. And bone smashing is when a looks maxer breaks his own jaw, or cheekbones in order to make them grow back stronger. Not uncommon to see chads in training carrying around little hammers, bone smashing in the club. Are you serious? And a chad, if you don't know, is a confident, physically fit, sexually active, and dominant, socially dominant male. Giga chad is an almost superhuman level of muscularity and attractiveness as personified by Ernest Kalimov, a hulking, lantern-jawed Russian fitness model most people assumed was AI. And Andrew has helpfully included a photo of him here. Whatever. Looks like Bobby. Sigma Alpha, a lone wolf leader who doesn't need validation from the group, often viewed as a superior to the traditional alpha male. Ooh, Sigma Alpha. That's what I am. I'm a Sigma Alpha. I'm going to start referring to myself as such. Okay, and these are horrifying ones for those of you with young sons. Puberty maxing, that is ordering testosterone, androgens, and other growth factors off the dark web to augment their puberty. The current it boy of looks maxers on the whole of the internet goes by the moniker Clavicular, and he was recently profiled in the New York Times. Here are some of the finer points for your displeasure. Born Braden Peters, 20-year-old Clavicular gets his name from the 19.5-inch width of his clavicle, which I guess is a flex. He stands 6'2", weighs in at 180 pounds, and has a 31-inch waist, which are the dimensions of a twink with a capital T, if that wasn't clear. Thanks, Andrew. Unhappy with his appearance, he ordered testosterone off the internet shortly before his 15th birthday. It's like a cheat code, he remembered thinking. Why would I not do this? When his parents found his stash, they threw it away, sending Clavicular into a hormonal tailspin. He began to order his supplies to a P.O. box. Steroids, fat dissolvers, biodegradable sutures. Sutures? Like stitches. They realized that there was kind of nothing they could do to stop my ascension. Looks maxer lingo for becoming more handsome. To him and to his legion, the male beauty ideal is that of, wait for it, openly gay Magic Mike star Matt Bomer. He considers Bomer to possess the most harmonious face in men's existence, even beyond his own, to the point where he's currently prepping for a bimaxillary osteotomy, also known as double jaw surgery, to get the look. Look, okay, listen. Do what you want to do post age 20, 25, I think. 15 is fucking wild and good for his parents for throwing this shit away as well. But really what he's doing, it's interesting that to me that these men are so like right wing a lot of the time because they identify with this idea of masculinity that is performed by figures like Andrew Tate. Not saying this guy is that, I'm just learning about this guy, but what they're doing is gender reaffirming care. Like some people are so against like the trans community or like young people taking hormones to affirm their gender identity, which like feel however you want to feel about that. I'm not making a judgment either way. I think that has to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. And I really don't like any young people taking any drugs, including birth control, by the way. But what he's doing is gender affirmation surgery. That's what he's doing. It's just the same gender that was assigned to him at birth. He's like, I'm a man, but I want to be such a man. So like, give me a jaw, give me testosterone. He's doing that. He didn't like high school, where he had a tough time with social cues and small talk. Though he's never been diagnosed with autism, he frequently refers to himself as an autist and calls his way of seeing the world a gift. All right. Well, watch out for all of this shit. I think taking anything to the extreme, especially when you're little, is really scary. And on the subject of the trans community, and this is not a great thing to end on, I am an LGBTQAI plus ally. But lately in the news, there are some goings on that if I were a trans woman, I would be really upset about, because there are men, and I say men because they are performing mass shootings. There was one in Canada, in British Columbia, with many deaths, and we don't usually have mass shootings. And then just the other day, there was one at an ice rink in America with many deaths. And then a couple years ago, there was one in America, I think, with many deaths, where it was reported that women were the perpetrators of these school shootings, ice rink shootings, like public mass shootings. And I was like, a woman? Like anytime it comes out that it's a woman, and that's 3 times now, I've been like, no, we don't do this. We don't do school shootings. What are you talking about? And you look into it further, and it will be a trans woman. But then you look into it even further, and it's not a trans woman, like as evidenced by the fact that she has committed a mass shooting. I'm sorry, like that is where I become a TERF, because I'm like, no, that's not a woman. Like women don't do that. And if I were like a genuine trans woman, I would be pissed, because I'd be like, hang on, I'm a trans woman. This is a psychotic, violent man who's put a dress on to do this. For what reason? Why? And there's probably so much more to discuss in this space, but it really it really is an argument in the column of the women who are like, we don't know where this trans thing is going. Like, we welcome trans women into our safe spaces and we want them to feel good, but anyone, like, nothing is perfect. And what these women are saying is like, anyone can also now, if the definition is unclear, have access to this safe space. And in the case of these mass shooters, these are men. These are men. So that's wild and probably not the best thing to end on. Let's pick it back up next week with your thoughts, because I realize that what I have said just now can really offend trans women. But I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about school shooters, and that's not us. That is not women. Please write me an email anytime you like about anything you like, tellingeverybodyeverything@gmail.com. You can follow me on my socials @Kathbum. You can see me on Mock the Week again next month. And even when I'm not on it, it's a great show and it's back now on TLC. I don't think I'm doing anything else live right now that I can tell you about, though. Spoiler, I'll be doing something really exciting soon that you can come to see live. Dun, dun, dun. Please look after each other. See you soon.